Apel. I'm the creator of Earthworm Jim.
Tweet groups.
I'm Victor Dweck.
Joseph Carter, I'm the Mink Man.
This is Dave Baker from Forged in Fire.
This is Leanne Morgan. I'm a comedian, and this is why you should never
Not ever.
Don't waste your time.
Oh, you really should.
listen to those darling, yummy Reverend and the Reprobate.
Hey, everybody, welcome to the Reverend and the Reprobate. I am Lucas Pinkert. I'm an actual Reverend. Here with me, as always, is the Retro Bat, Dan Gibson. What's going on, Dan?
I'm good.
Tonight on our show, we've got the host of the Christian Nerds Unite Pocast, Ricky Pope. Ricky shares with us some funny stories. He talks a lot about some very serious things. Welcome to the Reverend and the Reprobate. Now, Ricky talks to us a little bit about the journey that he and his wife have had since she got diagnosed with a very rare disease where she had to have her heart removed, and she's got a mechanical heart. Not
the
a
key word
pacemaker.
there is removed, not replaced.
Yeah, there's not a pacemaker. It's a mechanical hydraulic heart.
Yeah.
That's really cool. We're also joined tonight by our producer who's auditioning, Colton. Colton, wave at the camera.
Multiple finger guns. That's what.
Yeah,
you
fantastic.
Yeah,
So Colton's got a story to share with us in the middle of this interview.
Oh my gosh,
as he tries
so
to
funny.
desperately impress Ricky with a funny story. Thank you guys for watching. We hope that you enjoy. Make sure you check out Christian Nerds Unite. The links for everything that Ricky's talking about are in the show notes. Make sure that you check it out. This is an awesome and fun interview. Thanks. We have with us today, Dan, on the show, the man, the myth, the only Pope recognized by the Baptist Church of America. He is the host of the Christian Nerds Unite podcast and is the nerd at the table. He's co-hosted with us on a few episodes of our Spoils show. If you watched WandaVision or Captain America.
Captain Falcon America.
Captain America and the Winter Soldier. It's the beautiful, the talented, the lovely Ricky Pope. What's going on, Ricky?
Not much. And all sorts of things. To paraphrase a Hobbit.
I would say that we have shown Ricky the chaos that happens at the beginning of our show, but
really
Ricky has been in so many just bad situations where our engineering has been a complete mess.
Why do you agree to hang out with us?
Yeah, that's a great question.
You know, it's nice to know I'm not the only one that has epic fails while you're live.
Oh, fantastic.
Wait. Colton works for you too?
Hey.
Oh.
No, this is therapy for Ricky, is him just watching us spin around. And every now and then we'll get a text and he'll say, still can't hear you. Oh, okay, great. The audio would be coming through, except it isn't.
Yeah.
Well, there's that.
Yeah, we did he was part of the disaster at Boomerang Comics that we got to be a part of as we tried a live stream that didn't work. And
it was so much
work.
fun. It's too bad that nobody else got to experience it other than you and I.
Yes.
Because Ricky, you were there.
He was there.
Yeah, it was great.
You couldn't hear anything.
It was awesome.
Anything.
Yeah, and then
it dropped.
Yeah, and several almost shows with Ashley Cox from Fangirling Over Jesus as we did that stuff. But we're not here to talk about that. Shameless self-promotion and the fact that the Jessies continue to steal our ideas aside, we want to talk about... We want to talk about.
I love that this world is so small that we all know what we're talking
really great.
about.
Actually, so we interviewed David Jesse last week, and I was like, "Hey, that was really awesome. These are some guys that stole our ideas." And he was like, "Oh yeah." I was like, "Yeah,
which one?"
Yeah, we'll talk about it later." And we never talked about it. So
rightfully so.
Yeah, Ricky, what's up, man?
I don't know. Lots of things. Lots of things and nothing at all. I don't know. I don't even know where to start.
Well, we'll start since this is an interview. Danley, I'll take the floor if you don't mind. Ricky, how did you get started into podcasting? Talk to us about the Christian Nerds Unite podcast and how all of that got flowing and what you're doing right now.
Sure. So I have done voice work off and on for many years. I actually did audiobooks back in the day. I worked for a small publishing house here in Oklahoma City. And I really, really enjoyed the voice work. And I always thought it would be great to do radio or do, then podcasting became a thing. And I thought, it'd be a blast to do something like that. And about a year ago, a little over a year ago, I started thinking more about it and started figuring out, what would it look like? What would it sound like? What would I call it? And I came up with this idea of Christian Nerds Unite, and decided I would start a Facebook page and a Facebook group and kind of see where it went. And it was going so well as a page. And then I started the group, and the group was going so well. I was like, you know what? If I'm going to start a podcast, this is the time to do it. It's right in the middle of COVID. Everybody's at home anyway. Everybody's listening and watching things. This is my opportunity. And that's kind of where it all came out of. When I launched, I actually, I got to be decided to be one of those people that I decided I would buy a course on how to launch a podcast. Oh. And I had been listening to a couple of people that, this is how you should start a podcast. And one of the things they said was you should find, set up a certain group of things that you're going to talk about on your show. And I laid out basically 5 pillars for my show. And they were going to be Christian living, books and comics, gaming, technology, and TV and movies. Okay. So those are kind of the 5 things that I do on the show. Everything that I do on the show is going to revolve around one of those 5 things.
And oftentimes you are able to touch on several of them. I mean, a lot of the shows that you talk about and that you review are also comics, but you do a great job of bringing in Christian themes, Christian perspectives. You always start with a verse. If you haven't listened to the show, it's really great. It's one that we both listen to on a regular basis, and it's been awesome. I've really enjoyed it thus far.
So the Christian Nerds Unite. So you started with the podcast before making a group?
I started the page.
Switched.
Yeah.
Let me back up just a bit. So, back up the truck a little bit.
I mean, did I just totally miss everything, or I've asked a question that does deepen the narrative?
Danley, welcome to the Reverend and the Reprobate podcast with Ricky Pope.
No, I gave you the short version. I'm going to give you a little bit longer version, and it better answers your question, Danley. So
thank you.
I don't know.
Finally,
it was probably
somebody answering one of my questions better.
It was probably 2019. I started helping someone with their Christian nerd page and their Christian nerd group.
It was Christian Nerds Divided?
Yeah, pretty much. It was just called Christian Nerd, and something happened along the way. We got the page back up and running. It was going really well. People were starting to join again. It had been dormant for like 3 years, and the admins basically left it after they let me in, and I started helping them get it going. And they were like, "Hey, you're doing a really good job. We're just going to leave." And then something happened. It was a weird time in Facebook history. Tons and tons of pages just basically stopped getting attention, period. And the page just came to a screeching halt. The name was a little too generic. It was just Christian Nerds. And it wasn't specific enough it wasn't unique enough to do the podcast thing. But because of that, I finally got frustrated. And so January 2nd of 2020, I just said, forget it. I'm going to quit trying to reinvigorate this old page. I'm going to start fresh. So I started Christian Nerds Unite. I searched for a good name that I knew was available everywhere. And I started there just with the Facebook page. And I went ahead and bought the URL with the idea that eventually I would start a podcast. So the idea was always there, but I didn't implement it until much later. I wanted to see what kind of feedback I got. Well, the page grew considerably. The page grew to about, 3,000 or 4,000. I opened the Facebook group. The group jumped to 1,000 really quickly. And that was the point where I said, now's the time for me to launch the podcast. I'd been working it over in my mind for a long time, thinking about what it would look like. And, at that point I was just like, It was November of 2020, November of 2020, and I said, okay, if I'm going to do it, I just need to pull the trigger, and I need to do it, and I launched.
Got it. Well, for those listening, I would recommend if you're into nerd culture and you're a Christian Nerds Unite is also a great Facebook group.
Yeah.
That in addition to the podcast, there's a lot of funny memes that get shared, and again, they're all nerd related. So it's a good, pretty clean, fun group to join if you're on Facebook and care about that
and
stuff.
it is public now, correct?
It is a private group now.
Oh, well, you can't join. Sucks
No,
to be you.
It doesn't. That's not what that means. Facebook did some changes with public groups, and I decided it was better for it to be a private group. A couple of people were posting some kind of sensitive prayer requests that might involve other people.
So you just booted them right out, huh?
And when that happens to a public group, your friends and family can now see that post, and you might be praying. You might be talking about something sensitive, and you only want to share it with the group.
Gotcha.
So that was one of the reasons we decided to take the group private. Definitely anybody can join. I do have some questions for them to answer. Don't answer the questions. I don't let you in. I'm sorry. You got to answer the questions. But the group has grown immensely. I started it probably 2 months before the podcast, and it just crossed over the 7,000 member mark today. And
kudos, man. That's awesome. And
the podcast now has been going for just over 6 months. So I'm super excited about what we've been able to create. It's definitely a group effort in the Facebook group. And like you said, it's funny, it's memey, it's nerdy, and above all,
that's what I like.
We try to keep it clean and family friendly with a church crowd. Family friendly means a lot of different things to a lot of different people. Yeah. So I have to be careful, and I try to knock down some of the more offensive things that pop up from time to time.
Yeah, for the most part, everything I've seen has been great, and it's a lot of encouraging stuff. Every now and then we'll have a little bit of an theological spat, but for the most part, it's all really encouraging. A lot of
what, nerds arguing about things?
Yeah, no,
never.
Shut up, Ricky. That never happened.
No. The Last Jedi sucked.
Yeah. So,
and the I think the headline for this for me, Facebook group talk, is be careful what you say in groups if it's not private, because your friends and family can see it.
Still see it.
Apparently.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I may need to do some damage control here pretty soon.
Probably a lot of it. Not that you will. It probably needs to happen.
I won't.
So, Ricky, as we've gotten to know you, we've gotten to know a little bit about your past. You served as a pastor for a while. You are still doing some things with your church from an online setting because you're taking care of your wife. And that is a big part of your story. You talk about it some on the podcast. You've talked about it on the shows that you've been with us. If you would, do you mind opening up a little bit about that and telling us about what's going on and what your situation's been like?
What do you want me to? You want me to kind of to tell the story in general?
Yeah, just tell the story.
Just kind of get everybody caught up.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So, kind of catch everybody up. About 2.5 years ago, my wife suddenly came down with we weren't even sure what it was. Some kind of heart problem. We knew there was some kind of murmur or something was going on with the heart rhythm that wasn't quite right. And it was just before her birthday. It was in November. And at that point, she went in the hospital. We thought, we'll probably just get some meds and we'll be out. A week later, things went a completely different direction. We were at a point where we really thought we were going to lose my wife. We didn't know what was going to happen. They were able to save her with something that probably most people are not familiar with, but it's called ECMO. Basically, it's a heart bypass pump kind of thing. If you've ever heard of somebody say a heart lung machine, that's basically what ECMO is.
I've heard that.
And so they put her on that for about 45 days. And finally we came to the decision of, okay, she needs a transplant, but due to some other issues, we're not able to do a transplant right now. And the only other option was a total artificial heart. So I think I even did a podcast I called "My Wife is a Cyborg."
Cyborg, yeah.
Yeah.
I remember.
That's a good one.
I was trying to think of jokes to make about that, and I was like, I feel like it's kind of in poor taste, but we are all nerds, so there's some kind of hook in. I couldn't get to it, which is why I'm ruining the joke now. But you know, who did Cyborg marry in the DC Marvel comics, DC comics?
DC, I don't know.
Okay, well then that's why I couldn't make a joke out of it. This is a terrible segment. Proceed, please.
Well, I will say we have been through so much over the last 2.5 years that humor is just a part of where we are. This is our life, and sometimes it's funny and sometimes it's not, and that's okay. But we're at a point where we can definitely laugh about things that happened, and we can laugh about the fact that there were times where my wife simply doesn't remember what was going on, and or I will tell her something 3 times. I'm like, we've already discussed this. That happens. That's part of this process. But
I have that same problem too.
Yeah, but yours is not diagnosable.
No, it's just not listening.
Yeah.
So January 14th of 2019, they removed her flesh heart and they put in a total artificial heart. And just to be clear, that she has no flesh heart anymore. So if you're familiar with like a pacemaker or something like that, this is completely different. She has that organ was physically removed, and they put in this pump. When they did that, it also came with a large pack, basically an air compressor. If you've ever had an air compressor for to blow up your tires that plugs into your cigarette lighter,
yeah,
it's a little bigger than one of those, and it fits in a backpack. And that she has a couple of hoses that run to her chest and run into her chest wall that actually pneumatically run the heart, and it pumps for her.
That's wild, man.
So she just has like a port or one port, or is it several that tubes are running
2.
into?
It's actually 2. They've got basically the right side of the heart and the left side of the heart are 2 separate pumps. And then they've got 2 pneumatic hoses that are about the size of a dime that run through her chest wall. And it blows air into these pumps to keep the blood flowing.
Huh.
So it's a crazy deal. It is one of the most impressive pieces of technology I've ever seen. And I have learned more about it than I ever wanted to know, but that's what you have to do. And so we've been waiting for a transplant. We went through a process early on, and we were like, well, we need to recover from this, from the total artificial heart. And then COVID hit, and pretty much everything shut down. So that was, that's been like basically a second year of waiting on the idea of, how do we do a total artificial, or how do we do this transplant? Well, one of the things that we thought was going to happen is we were going to have to go to a different transplant center. And they were talking about sending us to either Dallas or Orlando or Tennessee or to LA. And LA, because of some of the complications, LA was the most likely candidate to accept her because of these issues. And it had to do with rejection and things like that. Because of that, they wanted to redo all the tests. COVID's kind of coming to a bit of things are calming down. My wife and I are both vaccinated. I don't care what you think either way on that. But
I don't like it.
I was gonna say whichever we are, so that's just the way it is. But with that done, we're getting out a little more. But they wanted to redo all of the blood work. We recently redid all of the blood work. And because of some of those new results 2 years later, our local heart transplant team believes that we are probably going to be able to do it locally now.
Oh, that's
which
awesome.
That's cool.
That is a huge thing. That
Yeah.
is definitely a miracle. It's definitely a God kind of thing. And we still don't understand exactly why the test results were different then and different now. They don't know if it's, if the body has changed or if it has something to do specifically with the disease she had. The disease she had super rare. It's called giant cell myocarditis. Basically, it just attacks the heart. And it's super, when I say super rare, when you look up studies on diseases, there'll be studies, there'll be hundreds and hundreds of studies with tens of thousands of people in the studies. Well, when I looked up my giant cell myocarditis, and I actually read the studies because I'm that kind of nerd, I'm reading these studies, and there are tens of studies with tens of patients.
Man.
So just very, very little research on the disease. And, right now, honestly, before the last 10 years or so, most people that found out they had this disease found out after they had passed away.
Oh, wow. That's devastating. So
Yeah.
does this, because as you're talking, I'm doing a little research on my own here. Most of the studies, it seems like they are citing the other studies that were, further up on the list in the search engine. But one of the things that it says that it couples with oftentimes is immunosuppression. Now, is that something that you guys have experienced as well?
Well, that is one of the things they attempted to do to treat the disease, and it didn't work for us. That gets really complicated, really deep into the weeds that you're reading
joke.
that. Seriously, like when we were doing research on it, I was quite literally I was emailing back and forth to the expert in the field on giant cell myocarditis that works at the Mayo Clinic. And and then later on, I found out that our doctors actually consulted with him separately. Neither of us knew that we had contacted each other. And he's like, "Oh, that's your wife?" But yes, that's one of the things they tried to do to treat the disease. And if it's found early enough, there has been some success in reducing the disease. But there's no proof that it cures the disease. At best, it probably prolongs the life so that you can search for a transplant. In our instance, it was just too far down the line, and the immunosuppressant wasn't working to get the heart back regulated enough for her to survive.
Wow.
So you first mentioned this to us, or you read us into the situation with your wife in, I think it was February. It was when we had those horrible storms. It was February.
Yeah, it was February. Yeah, because we had to do the episode we did with Moody Malavi and Jeff Allen.
Yeah.
We recorded those from my brother's garage.
Yeah, I was at home warming.
Yeah, but my wife and I were without power for like 3 days.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but those devastated like not just us, but where you're at, which you're a few hours north of us.
Yeah, and you had mentioned at the time, they said, "Hey, this is keep us in your prayers. We've got." I don't remember if you had said your power had went out, but you had said, "Hey, this is her deal. She's got an artificial heart. She's got to be plugged in. We do have a battery." I remember you saying that, and it just kind of blew my mind thinking about. So my question is, what is day to day like with your wife, because you're pretty much her primary caregiver,
right? That was one thing when all this happened, when they just said that someone has to be with her 24/7, and with the artificial heart, basically the deal is if the pump fails or if the hoses become kinked, she won't stay conscious long enough to be able to correct it herself. Whoa. Someone has to be there to do it for her.
Is there some kind of an alert, like the machine will beep, or?
Oh, we have the most annoying loud sounds you cannot imagine.
But they're life saving, so
they are life saving.
How often does it false? Is the question.
Very rarely. Okay. Very rarely. And honestly, most of the time that it has gone badly, we have been in a medical facility. There's only been one time where it really messed up, where it was affecting her. We've had a couple of times where the pump, for some unknown reason, was making these horrendous alarms and telling us that it was not working correctly. And my wife's like, I'm fine. I don't know what's wrong.
It's a special kind of anxiety,
and,
right
and
there.
we have a backup pump that we swap it out, and anytime we do that, we have to go to the hospital, like, all right, check everything out, blah blah blah. But there's only been one time where it was like, okay, the pump is alarming and she's not responding and I have to do something. And I change the pump and my daughter calls 911 and we just, and I know you think your eyes get really big when I have this conversation, but for me, it's like, this is life and I just have to do it. I've switched her pump out so many times over the last 2 years because we have to do it every 3 months anyway. That's just a rotation that they make us go through. And so it's just kind of become second nature. Go grab the pump, grab batteries, switch it out, and we go on. But you're talking about the losing power thing. Pretty much she's plugged into the wall to power 24/7. If she's not plugged into the wall, she does have batteries that run for a couple of hours. And we've got multiple sets of batteries, so we can usually get by with about 6 hours switching out batteries. And then when we lose power at the house, I do have a generator that I keep in the garage during really bad weather. And I keep in the shed when I don't think we're going to have power issues. But, we've got all of these little backup plans. What do we do when we do this? What do we do when we do that? Now, one other extenuating circumstance that my wife has, because of the ECMO, because of how that was done, she was unable to move for 45 days. And she lost the ability to walk. And so she just doesn't have that muscle tone. And we've been working on that over the last 2 years. And at this point, she's basically either in bed or in a wheelchair full time. And so that's a complication for us that adds to the issues. But I mean, it's just, like I said, it has just become part of who we are now. And it's not something I don't even think about it. It's like, okay, hey, we're going to go to church. All right, well, we need to get up early. We need to, let you get ready, and then got to get you let's get you dressed. Let's get you into the wheelchair. Let's drive to church. Roll. We have a van with a ramp on the side of it, so we can carry her in the wheelchair, not have to transfer her back and forth. And
that's incredible that you guys can go places, because that was going to be one of my questions. Yeah. It's like, how do you get out?
How do you go to church? Is there a spot that there's a plug that's like her designated place?
Right, but not just church. Like, do you go out to eat? Do you, like, how much of being out like that you used to normally do? Obviously there's complications in getting ready, but how much of that are you guys able to do now?
So that is a fascinating question, because COVID.
Right.
And I say that
shoots
because
the wheels off of everything.
Yeah, exactly. So we were getting to where we were starting to do some things because she had recuperated enough. And then all of a sudden we get COVID, and it's like, okay, we probably shouldn't go anywhere. Yeah. Because she's more susceptible to anything, period. So basically for a year, she didn't leave the house except for medical tests or hospital visits. That's just how we lived life for a year. After we both got the vaccine, she started becoming more comfortable. So now we're back into real life. And you asked about church. Does she kind of have her own little spot? Well, she kind of does. I organize the tech crew for our church, and the way our church is set up, that we've got this little tech booth, and sometimes I sit there, sometimes I sit with my wife, but there just happens to be a spot right at the back row in one corner. And there happens to be an outlet there, which makes life convenient. Yeah. And it happens to be close to the sound booth. So if I need to go check with somebody on something, I can, there's a missing chair there where we roll up the wheelchair, and nobody really pays attention to it, but it just kind of is what it is now. Everybody just kind of expects that, oh, I'm going to go find Marie. That's where she's going to be. And as far as, doing other things, we definitely can. We don't do a lot. We actually were trying to arrange this show, and we were trying to arrange this interview, and I said, hey, I'm running a few minutes late. We actually went out to eat tonight with my niece who was awesome. In town. So, we do get to do things like that. We kind of have to pre-plan and pre-preview places. Some places are easier to get into than others. Some places, we can't easily eat at a restaurant that only has booths. That's not a good option for us.
Right.
If they've got tables with chairs, that's much better for us. If they've got a table with an outlet, that's beautiful. But even if they don't, we have the extra batteries. We can swap them out mid-meal if we ever need to, if we have a really long meal. A couple of weeks ago, my wife, a hospital that she used to work with, had a big reunion. The hospital had closed many years ago, and they had a big reunion for the staff that had worked there over the years. And we were at that party for, 4 hours or something. And we went and hung out with all of her old friends from the hospital, and it was a fun time. So we absolutely do get out. We don't get out as much as most people, or probably as much as we would like to. We just have to plan it, and we'll be good. And here in about 2 weeks, we're planning on going to a friend's wedding. So
that's pretty awesome. And you can hear that you're not the only one in the home, right? So there's a whole family there. What's it been like being a dad and being the husband who's a primary caretaker? What's that transition been like for you, and how have the kids handled it?
Our kids have done really, really well. I will say both of my children were older. My youngest was in the middle of getting her driver's license. We were starting to, she was starting to practice driving when all this happened. So that kind of delayed her getting her driver's license some. But I'm not sure how it would have been if my children had been much younger. My oldest had left for college, her freshman year in college, just a few months before this happened. And then my oldest had left for college just before this happened. And my youngest was just starting to get her driver's license. So, I had two children that basically could survive on their own within reason.
Yeah.
So when it initially happened, and I was staying at the hospital, just shy of 24/7, we were ordering groceries for my youngest daughter on Walmart.com and having them delivered, and things like that.
Yeah, pre-COVID.
This is pre-COVID.
This is something completely normal now.
I know.
Yeah, because I get my groceries from Costco typically delivered. It's free, and it's like great. It's better than going in wasting 30 minutes walking around.
Exactly.
You don't even have to turn off your show to get your groceries. Do you have any special instructions? Yeah, please don't pick a bad pineapple. Yeah. Okay.
Also, I'm starting a new level, so please be quiet when you're. Yes. Yeah. I
that is great.
So I was gonna say I can't obviously relate completely to your situation because it's very unique. I do have my wife is immunocompromised, so I do get some of the stuff that you were saying about, when COVID hit, you weren't going anywhere. To me, it didn't really make a whole lot of difference because we weren't going out a lot anyways.
Yeah.
Right.
She got her vaccination also because she's immunocompromised. As I'm sure. Again, I said earlier I didn't like it that you guys were vaccinated. That was a lie. Yeah, I'm glad that you guys are because that's she sounds like a prime candidate, and then you as the primary caregiver. So,
yeah.
But thank you for sharing that because I was very interested in how that whole not having a heart. I mean that's I don't think I've ever heard. I mean I've heard of the pig's heart. I've heard of like you mentioned, pacemaker, some.
Well, there were a
part of
couple
it.
of women that I dated before I found my
That didn't
wife
have
that
hearts.
I
Yeah,
knew
yeah.
for sure did not have hearts.
But
Oh.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Sad story. One,
Okay, so can
one
I
that we
share a
call
story with you
Voldemort
guys?
Lovingly. Yeah, go ahead.
only if it's funny. Is it
talking
good?
about it's sweet. It's sweet.
Aw.
And it
Pass.
comes to mind because my niece is here. Now, mind you, my niece is grown. She's married. She's got kids. So my niece and her daughter are actually here right now talking to my wife. I don't know.
Yeah,
you
we can hear 'em.
If you hear rumbling in the back, sorry. I'm sorry.
I'm just
No,
playing.
it's
I'm just
better than
playing.
hearing Danley breathe, which is what
Yeah.
we normally get into the mic because the extra noise. It's just his nose.
So my niece had this conversation with her daughter that, that Aunt Ree's, that's what we call her, Aunt Ree, had her heart removed. And one day her daughter just asked her, she's like, well, if Aunt Ree doesn't have a heart anymore, where's Jesus?
Oh.
And Heather had an opportunity. My niece had this opportunity to share what this really meant, and that is the story of how my niece's daughter came to a saving faith in Christ.
Really?
Oh, that's awesome.
That's
Yeah.
really cool. Wow.
So-
Yeah, that is a sweet story. Way better than anything Danley said tonight.
Yeah.
But no, that's one of the things that I think is so unique about your situation in particular is that you haven't let it.
Jesus isn't gone. It was a firmware update.
It was a firmware update. Well, you know,
Got him.
one of the reasons I think your story in particular is so inspiring is because you haven't let this hold you back. It's not something that.
No.
As much as I'm sure it was difficult, you haven't let this be something that shook the foundations of your faith. Instead, you guys in some ways have almost kind of doubled down. And then since all of this has happened, you've started the podcast. Do you see the podcast as in some ways, because I know it was for us in the beginning, like this was your way to get out. Like that for us in the very beginning, that it was our social time was that we came and we did a podcast together, and it was our way to kind of express
I
ourselves.
literally had nothing else going on.
He wanted to start a podcast with somebody else.
Oh my God,
That's literally
what a
what
lie.
happened. He wanted to start a podcast with
But
somebody
no,
else.
go ahead.
No,
I'm sorry, dumb
but
joke.
so is that what it's been like for you in some ways?
Some ways. Another part of my story is that I had to leave my full-time employment to be 24/7 caregiver. One of the things I had to do was figure out, what does that mean for me? I don't have a job now. And I started partnering with a friend, and we do a lot of social media coaching because we already knew about social media. And we loved working with missions organizations. So we were working with missions organizations. But as much as I love that work, I was missing my nerdy friends because I worked in tech fields. I was a video editor with a bunch of guys that, they dealt with technology day in and day out, and they were goofy and nerdy. And I definitely missed that part of my world. And I think that's really where Christian Nerds Unite and the podcast came in. It was, okay, I don't have a good nerd outlet anymore. I need one. How can I do that? Well, I love video editing. I love audio editing. I could definitely do a podcast. It gives me an opportunity to share some of my nerdy thoughts to the world. And hopefully somebody listens.
Well,
And from some of the replies I'm getting, some people are listening. I don't know who they are all the time, but
you got two right here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The first time that we connected was actually, I don't remember why. I reached out, I think, at some point. I think it was something you had written about CES. And I had asked you, did you actually get to go? Like, I've always wanted to go, so we got to nerd out a little
What
bit.
is CES for
Consumer Electronics
Symposium?
show.
Show. Hey, there
Show.
we go.
I think it's
Consumer
show.
Electronics Show.
We're so dumb.
I was just gonna keep feeding you rope, buddy.
Yeah, but it's the premiere of all of the new electronics. There's robots and video games and TVs and cameras, and I think weaponry for the
for
the military.
It's
crazy.
It sounds awesome.
Absolutely crazy show. I've never actually been to CES. I've always wanted to go, but in 2021, it was all digital. It was all online, so you could see the majority of it. So I did a show, kind of. And every year there's goofy, stupid, crazy things at CES.
Yeah,
and I like
those are the
making
best.
fun of them.
Yeah, those are the best
So
ones.
it was a fun time for me to go through and say, here, this is the new toilet for.
And it's Bluetooth enabled.
For what?
Exactly.
And it gives you notifications.
Why?
Notifications.
I don't know.
Your toilet is
No.
plugged.
There actually was a toilet. There actually was a toilet. I think it was Bluetooth, in fact.
It, like, weighs
but
it
what
or
it
something?
did was it would diagnose your
What?
stuff. It would diagnose your stuff.
It eats it,
and it would make food recommendations.
Oh,
No,
and it could send you notifications while you were at the grocery store of things you might consider buying to improve your diet.
yeah. Mine would be like,
based
I get a
on-
notification would say, "Get fiber."
That's absolutely like I don't know that. So it would need to there's so many questions I have about this toilet now. Like, how does it know who's on it? Like, what does it make recommendations based on what I want,
Well, it's
or like somebody else at my house wants? Because my wife doesn't do that. Women just don't use that part of the toilet.
It's a good point because I have a scale that is Bluetooth enabled, and I would track my weight, and I get to see the trends and everything. And occasionally, my son would stand on it, and I'd get a notification. And it'd be like,
Oh my gosh.
like, we would say, "Did something horrible go wrong, or are you a different person?" Yeah, I don't think you weigh 75 pounds based off of our interactions so far.
Which primary limbs did you lose?
Gosh.
It's a terrible invention, but good for them for putting themselves out there.
So I wonder if it tracks.
At
I would
CES.
actually be interested in getting some data from.
I'd rather
your
just
stuff?
I'd rather just go to my primary care physician and just say, "Hey, look, I think something's wrong. Take some blood."
I'm fascinated. If you are also fascinated, we're going to be starting a podcast about toilets.
There you go.
Yeah, Danley and Josh
Yeah.
will be starting a toilet podcast.
Yeah. Interested in poop? That's what it's gonna be called.
I'm
gonna go buy Interested in Poop right now. Interestedinpoop.com right now, so I can sell it to you for like 3 times the value.
I'll just change the name. There's literally a never-ending line of poop names.
Like, I don't know how we recover from this right now. So, Ricky, we'll go to the always wonderful resets of or so, which that's the thing that I hate the most whenever
tell
my
me
God.
about-
When you're editing.
Oh,
my
man.
goodness. I say now all the time.
Now you have done you've done sound work, right? Sound direction, media direction for a long time.
I have done a lot of different things. I have worn a lot of different hats over the years. I've been a video editor. I've been an audio editor. I've done audiobooks. I used to do music videos. I've probably done 60 or 70 music videos, either shooting them, editing them, directing them. Actually directed 2 short films that went through different film festivals. In fact, this poster, that poster at the top over there, is a short film I edited, and this one over here is a short film I directed. And but I've done a lot of different things as far as media goes. Absolutely, bachelor's degree is in vocal performance, so go
What?
figure.
Now, is this singing or
Singing. I have a bachelor's in music,
Okay.
vocal performance, and that is
Go ahead.
This was before. This was way before technology was a thing. We were talking. Keyboards were just becoming a popular thing, and the internet was still
how about the
not
key-
called the internet, and it was all text based.
how about guitars? Were those around yet?
Keytars existed, unfortunately. Just to give you an idea of
Even
my
John
age.
Tesh flashbacks. Welcome to Entertainment Tonight.
Yeah. I saw Chicago perform, and their lead old guy now, because everyone else is young. They've replaced them all, but the keyboard player plays a keytar, and it was terrible. I'm just he's a good player, but don't play keytars.
I just
It's not cool anymore.
no. Ed, was it ever cool? Like that's what I want to know. Like the
in
organ
the
is
80s,
cool.
It was pretty cool.
The organ
in the
is cool.
80s, it was pretty cool.
The organ is
Not the organ, the accordion. The accordion's cool, which is like
okay.
a squeeze keytar because it's got all the notes and stuff over there.
If you're
but
playing it up
Only
to be funny,
if you're
yes.
Weird Al.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what I was
Only
gonna say.
Weird Al.
or
If
if you're
you're-
the heavy metal organ player from a Norwegian folk metal band like Korpiklani, then it can be awesome.
Yeah.
But outside of that, I'd stay away
To
from it.
give you an idea of age, I was 6 years old when I saw Star Wars in theaters the first time.
1971, huh?
I was born in 71. So
There you go.
1977,
Good
I
math.
saw Star
Thank you.
Wars in theaters. I actually turned 50 in 4 days.
Wow.
So-
what are we going
what-
to do for your 50th?
Probably nothing. I'm probably just going to sit at home and go, this is what I'm doing. This is what I want to do because I'm old and get off my lawn.
Hey, we will
I like
gather
that.
up as many extension cords as we can, and we'll come do a barbecue in your backyard.
We'll just make it. We'll make it happen. All right, so you've
That was
just
a
gone
that was
over.
Colton's giving me a no.
You've just gone over this like huge resume that you've got of all these different things that you've done, and the quick question that comes to mind that I really want to ask is, what was your favorite? But I know it's going to be really hard to pick because you've got projects that you've loved in each of those realms.
What's his favorite episode of ours?
Yeah, other than being on this show, what do you think was maybe the best story that you've got? What's your best like funny story, embarrassing moment, or something like that that happened either on set or in studio or something like that? What's the first one that comes to mind?
Oh,
What's the
oh
best
my
one that
goodness.
comes to mind?
Yeah,
Take your time.
Well, okay, so I'm going to tell you this story. It's not actually my story, but I was
Perfect.
involved in it, and I was the one who suffered. Okay.
Okay. It's got
So that's where I'm going to go with this story.
was
to a
Danley
great
your
start.
boss? Because with Danley as my manager, I've suffered quite a bit.
So I was working for a publisher who did music and books. And that it was based here in Oklahoma. They were a Christian publisher, and I was doing music videos. I was not the director, I was not the editor, but I was one of the key shooters for this music video. And we went out to a local lake, and we had all these beautiful shots, and it was gorgeous. And we did some complicated moves and all this stuff. And at some point I stepped in a hole and twisted my ankle, and I suffered through the rest of the shoot, with it. And then a few days later, we shot another music video. And then somebody went to look for the footage for the first music video, and it was gone.
Oh, no.
So then we had to get the artist back and reshoot the whole thing and recreate all the magic that we had originally done, except the original director wasn't there to do it with us because he was sick.
Oh,
So
no.
I had to twice go out to this lake, and it's frigid. It was so
man.
cold both times, and reshoot this whole music video. It was horrific. And I was just like,
Man.
Jesus saves, so should you.
Just Command S.
Yeah, I bet Missy Elliott did not appreciate that at all.
No, not at all.
Losing her footage.
Nope. The frozen lake
Save.
brings those boys to the yard.
Oh
Hey,
my goodness.
Colton's got a touring story that I've been having him tell all week, and I want to see if Ricky can appreciate it in
You've
the
been
same way
making
that I
him
have.
tell the same
I
story.
have. So he told me the story on Saturday, and since Saturday, I've made him tell the story like probably close to a dozen times. So
Let's do it.
I want Colton to, because I think Ricky will not only be able to appreciate it, but he'll know some of the players involved because he has a musical background and is from that era. Colton, do your trick, man.
Okay, so I have a friend that I worked with at a church before I was here, and he toured with Michael Jackson. So they were just now introducing the technology to shoot the artist up from the stage, from the bottom of the stage up into the air. So they're
Sounds
looking
bad.
right, exactly. So they're looking for somebody that's about the same size as Michael and height and weight and all of that stuff. Well, nobody is, of course. So Michael's like, it's okay, I'll do it. Right. So they load Michael up in this thing, and they shoot him up into the air. Well, he hits the lighting truss in the ceiling and falls back down and hits the ground.
Oh,
So-
when he shot up, was he just like,
Boom, boom. It's just like two booms.
yeah?
Yeah, everybody there went completely silent because they all thought, one, either
Somebody
Michael
just
Jackson's
killed
gone,
Michael Jackson,
or two, we're all fired and he's about to hire a whole new crew. So they're all silent, and out of the silence you hear, I think that was a little too high. That is a true story.
That is awesome.
No wonder
Well,
you keep making him.
I don't know that.
I seriously,
I've
I've made
literally
him tell
told
that
it so
story
many
so
times.
many times. We sat down with
That is brilliant.
Yeah, we had a group of people that was helping us like move some furniture, and we had some contractors in there doing some work on the church. And I introduced him to everybody, and they're like, "Oh, hey, yeah, so you're the new guy." And I was like, "Colton, tell the story. tell
Everyone shut up.
Colton's got a story to tell." And he's like, "Are you serious?" His wife now, I'll call him and be like, "Hey, I've got some people around to tell the story." She's like, "I hate you so much. We're quitting this church." So we've just made him tell the story over and over.
Well, I actually have a similar story, but not quite as dramatic. In between jobs at one point, I was laid off and I was just looking for, anything to sub in for a while. And so I got a production assistant job on the Tim McGraw Faith Hill music documentary from a couple of years ago.
Yeah, Faith Hill's hideous, by the way, honey.
This is all country music. So we're all actually working out in Tulsa, and Faith Hill, Tim McGraw, they come out on stage as they're doing a rehearsal from the night before, and they're shooting this huge documentary. It's going to be on Showtime, and we've got just a select group of people that are there to watch just the rehearsal, and we're going to shoot close-ups and stuff like that. And my job that night was to make sure we get release forms signed by everybody. So I'm in the audience, we're getting people to fill out release forms. Music starts. Faith Hill, rises from the floor, slowly. She rises from the floor. She steps up. She starts singing. I'm looking at the stage. I watch her rise up and step off, and she starts singing. And I turn around and I see everyone's eyes get about this big, just huge, and a huge gasp
because Mark
and
Anthony
I realized
was coming
she
on
stopped
stage.
singing. I realized she stopped singing, and I turn around and I realized as I watch her fall into the hole that she had just come back up through. Yes. And all I hear on the radio is, get everyone out of the room now. Do not allow anybody to make any phone calls. Do not allow anybody to do any, because we had a small audience.
Yeah.
It wasn't just crew.
Oh man! Scramble the cell phone signals.
Faith Hill's coming up. She is going to be a total bee about it.
Oh my goodness. And then the next night, she comes out the next night and she does a great performance. She does the show. They even talk about it in the documentary, but it's insane that that reminded me of the Faith Hill story.
I love stories apparently about famous celebrities falling and being shot up.
Well, there's something funny about
not
falling.
Shot up,
Yeah. Michael's in the back like, oh, that was deep.
If he didn't have the voice, this story wouldn't be nearly as funny.
And Colton's such a big man. That's the thing. He's like 6'12". He's nearly 7 foot tall.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's brilliant.
Dead on Michael Jackson.
Yeah,
impression.
well, Ricky, it's been an absolute blast having you on tonight. We could talk to you. We could talk to you for hours.
We're so glad you came on, and so we could waste your time.
Yeah, thank you. So there's a segment we do at the end of all of our shows called Controlled Rowdiness. We've got some rapid fire questions that we want to ask you.
Okay.
Answer with the first thing that comes to the top of your head, and we're going to start with this one. When someone's telling you a sad story and crying, how long should you wait before you take a bite of your corn dog?
At least 10 seconds. Are you the one that posted that in the group, in the Facebook group?
No, I'm not. I just saw it.
I read that today.
I just saw it, and I was like, you know what? This is contextual, and it comes from the Christian Nerds thing. So let's why not ask?
Great question.
Yeah,
I was saying I had
That
asked
hurts
that
10
one.
seconds.
ask the admin.
I guess so. Okay, Ricky. 3 out of 4 pastors agree that out of 4 pastors, 3 will always disagree with the other one. So what's your favorite Bible verse?
That threw me off.
This is total misdirection.
Jeremiah 29:11.
Oh, good.
Okay,
I know what that is.
Go ahead.
No, I don't.
Yeah.
I was like, he's not going to call me. He did.
Ricky, what is this?
What? Say what?
What's the verse?
Oh, Jeremiah 29:11. I know the plans that I have for you, says the Lord, plans to prosper and not to harm you. I never can quote it correctly.
Plans to give you hope and a future.
Yes, there you go.
Thank you.
I always mess it up every time.
I don't.
That's why I write everything down. When I quote scripture on the show, it is always typed in front of me.
Yeah,
that's awesome. That's more work than Danley's ever done for one of our shows.
Yeah. Hey, quick question: have you been called yummy by Leanne Morgan? I'm just curious.
Are you
scoreboarding it right now?
Probably not. Probably not.
Okay. All right. Next question.
I think Leanne Morgan would really love you.
Oh,
and
you're
what you
yummy. That's not the point.
Oh yeah, you're just trying to see if
I'm just seeing. I don't know.
That's such a weird flex. It's just the weirdest flex you've ever pulled on this show.
It's the only flex I've got.
Yep. All right. Marvel or DC?
Marvel.
I go DC.
I know you do.
I love DC.
Yeah. Nobody cares about your bad opinions. What's your question?
Hollow Earth or flat Earth? Which one's right?
Neither. Can I say neither?
You can. I mean, you're allowed to be wrong.
Neither.
Neither Hollow Earth or Flat Earth. Both are wrong. If you were going to start a podcast tomorrow that has nothing to do with nerddom, what would it be about?
Goal setting.
Ooh. Goal setters actually, there's a goal setting thing that actually sponsors Ricky's show. Mm-hmm. And he's like, I've used blah, 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 blah for setting my goals. And it's actually helped me do 2 things this year or whatever it is that he talks about. And because I fast forward through that, I get to skip 15 seconds on
Everybody does. I'm sure everybody does.
But I'm curious, how do you approach goal setting? Because I think that this is something that we don't talk about on the show enough, but it is something that we do on a pretty regular basis as far as both corporately within your job, what we do at the church, but also what we do with the podcast. So how do you approach goal setting?
One of my big things is start with what you've already done. Find 5 things you have accomplished and celebrate them before you start. And then start looking at, what is it that you want to accomplish over the next 10 years, 5 years, 1 year, and make a really, really big list and then narrow it down, and then say, okay, these are the 5 things I want to accomplish this year. And I find making that big list, inevitably you end up reaching some of those other goals unintentionally, or find out that some of your small goals actually will eventually build up to those big goals.
That makes sense.
What is your favorite Mel Brooks movie?
It's Blazing Saddles. It's so inappropriate these days, but it's absolutely Blazing Saddles.
To be clear, there's no real wrong answer here, but the best ones, Blazing Saddles, The Producers,
Which I still need to watch.
Young Frankenstein.
I haven't seen The Producers yet.
Yeah. We need to watch that together.
Oh, I need to watch The Producers as well.
We'll
You haven't
zoom
seen
in.
it? Yeah,
we'll zoom in.
watch
We'll
it.
do the group watch thing.
Yeah.
that people can do.
And we'll take a shot every time they I'm just kidding. Just kidding. I'm on with 2 pastors. I got to disrupt this somehow. Look, my job is the reprobate.
Right.
Okay, I got to play a role.
Yeah.
Now, where are the shots?
Take a shot at A1.
Taking a shot at A1 would burn the throat so bad.
Yeah.
All right, Ricky, final question. Why is it that Batman is not worthy to pick up Mjolnir?
That's bullcrap.
He's just too dark.
He's DC. That's the reason. If he was in
He's
Marvel,
DC.
he'd be a different Batman. But
He'd be a different Batman.
if the
He'd be a
DC
different-
Batman
Yeah.
was in Marvel,
He'd
he
smile.
would totally pick it up.
He'd smile. If the
probably
DC
would.
Batman was in Marvel, he'd
He'd
either be a
smile
villain
and-
or he'd smile.
And that'd be enough.
Yeah.
He's just too angry. Batman's too angry.
Your face is too angry.
But I bet Lego Batman could pick it up.
Because I'm Batman.
You probably,
Yes.
you probably could.
Absolutely. Well, hey, Ricky, thanks so much for being on the show.
you're
tell our
awesome.
tell our listeners, our viewers, how it is that they can find you and follow what you're doing.
Sure. Almost everywhere you can find us at Christian Nerds Unite. And if you aren't finding the links you're looking for, check out ChristianNerdsUnite.com. All the links are there to our podcast, to our YouTube, and to all of our social media platforms.
And interestedinpoop.com.
It's not just going to forward straight to Christian Nerds Unite. I'll just forward the URL. Ricky, thanks so much for being on, man. We appreciate
You're
it.
the
bud.
man, buddy.
It was a blast, guys.
See ya.
Okay, Ricky freaking Pokes.
Yeah.
Okay, so Ricky's been a friend of ours for a while, and this has to have been one of the funniest interviews that we've done in a really long time. I don't know if anybody else is going to enjoy it.
I hope
but
so.
I had an absolute blast.
That's what I was going to say. I did too.
If nobody else
I-
laughs, we did enough laughing for at least 2 to 3 more people.
I have been wanting to fall out of my chair to add some physical comedy. And I almost did inadvertently laughing so hard, which is really the way that you should fall out of a chair, right?
Well, yeah.
If
it
you're gonna
shouldn't just
fall
be
out-
a pratfall.
Yeah.
Are you impressed that I knew that term?
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
It made me think of Chris Pratt first.
Yeah.
and how funny he is when he
Yeah,
falls
his
down.
physical comedy is pretty great.
Yeah. But just wheels. I don't know if it's wheels off as much or if it was a lot of fun.
It really was.
Ricky is an old friend. We had some familiarity already.
Yeah, he's been with us through, and we didn't talk about this in the intro because you were very distracted. But Ricky has been with us.
I was trying to do
some serious
anti-joke.
disasters of episodes that we did with the Rev and Rep spoils.
Yeah.
One where there was no audio at all that we tried to do on location, and the sales guys at the comic book store kicked out the Ethernet cable, and then when everything fired
No
back up, it all
sound
came
or
through
internet.
Zoom, and then. Yeah, it was really weird. There are a couple of episodes that we tried to shoot here whenever some things were being repaired at my house. And through all of that, he has been not just somebody that laughed at us and with us, but also really encouraging, has lent a lot of help throughout all that stuff. And it was great to get to talk to him. One of the things we didn't get to talk to him a lot about in those previous episodes was about the condition that his wife has.
Oh, yeah.
And how it is that they've continued to be able to be good and consistent examples for the gospel during that time, and I thought that was absolutely amazing, especially the story about his niece.
Yeah, and for sure. That like you said, that you had mentioned something in the episode that they've still chosen faith. On top of that, I just had a bunch of questions on like what does day to day look like? Like I can't. I mean, I can kind of put myself there and imagine some of it, but I think it's interesting the take that they've both taken where this is our life. It's not good or bad. It's just something that's happening right now, and it looks like that she's going to get a heart locally, which is great news because we've been talking about this for months.
Locally sourced hearts are way better than
it's organic,
than imported. Yeah, no, but
it's a grass fed.
But this is something that they've been waiting on for 2 years.
Free range heart.
They were trying to figure out how they were not only going to get her on the transplant list and get her heart and the transplant doctor and everybody working at the same thing, but because her condition is so rare, because there's so few doctors that work on it, they were going to have to travel to LA, do the recovery in Los Angeles, and then have to turn around and come back. Now they live somewhere in Oklahoma, and
Oklahoma sucks.
It does.
That's a really sad story.
You know why Texas doesn't fall into the Gulf of Mexico, don't you? Because Oklahoma sucks. Hey, so there's so much to that, and now with her diagnosis and some of the numbers that are pertinent for her condition with the blood work and things like that have changed. It looks like they're going to be able to do it locally, which is going to be better for him, for their kids. It's a really cool testament of just God's grace in their life, which is one of the things he talks about often on the podcast. I know during our Controlled Rowdiness, we asked him some funny questions about Marvel or DC and why it is that Batman honestly would never be able to handle Mjolnir. But the guy is a breadth of comic book knowledge, and that's as much as as much as we've gotten to dive into that tonight was really not about that. But he's like an encyclopedia of comic book stuff.
Yeah. He has consistently shown up and bailed us out of every episode we've been on, talking about WandaVision or Captain Falcon and the Winter Soldier or whatever.
Captain Falcon and the Winter Soldier. There it is again.
I keep saying that, and
you've said it for months now.
You all know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about. Let's move on.
Yeah. So told some funny stories, and overall, Ricky's story and what he's doing is encouraging. It's uplifting, and it's inspiring. And I've absolutely loved the opportunity to get to do some podcasts with him. Love that he was on the show. Hey, check out Ricky Pope, the Ricky Pope Express, Christian Nerds Unite.
Interested in poop.com.
Bluetooth poopsicles. We've got them. Like, subscribe. This is over. We're done.
Bye all cameras.
This is Ricky Pope from Christian Nerds Unite, and the reason you should never listen to the Reverend and the Reprobate is because, well, let's be honest, they're doing the show on Bluetooth-enabled toilets. So...